Yeah. Oh, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. Where's the Prince of Peace when you need him? Well, he's always here. He really is. He's always freaking here. And what we are experiencing is we are seeing point blank who and what we are, right? And people can get in their little tubes and say, oh, these people and the bad those. No, the Jews and the Palestinians are cousins, right? They come from the same Abrahamic tree, right? Um, Slaughtering the defenders, penetrating the defensive barriers, and closing in on well-defined objectives, which were attacked and in many cases captured. It wasn't just hostages that that Hamas brought back into Gaza. It was computer servers. It was documents. It was troves of information about Israeli intelligence, Israeli operations, Israeli capabilities that the Hamas has brought back. I bring this up because this is an attack that was in planning for more than a year. It was executed very well, and then Hamas fell back on prepared defenses. Hamas knows what Israel's capable of. Hamas knows that Israel will use bombs to attack the Palestinian population. Hamas knows that eventually Israel will have to go after the tunnels. So when Hamas constructed these tunnels, do you really think they said, let's make them all connected so that if you find one and you pump salt water into it, everybody drowns? That's a good defensive tactic. Why don't we do that? But they have built tunnel systems that are cellular in nature, that can be cut off from one another, isolated, so that if one cell is captured or disrupted, it can be sealed off, much like you do with a ship's compartment. Torpedo hits the ship, you seal off the affected compartments, flood them, the ship stays afloat. That's how the Hamas tunnel network has been designed. And, so the Israelis are just wasting their time. There's some people who believe that they will further, destroy an already extraordinarily saline aquifer in Gaza by doing this. That has yet to be seen. I don't doubt that outcome, but I'm not going to predict the future on that. But what I can say is that there's no way that Hamas spent all this time and effort building a tunnel network, the solution to which is to simply flood it with salt water. I just don't believe that what the Israelis are doing is going to have any meaningful impact on this battle. It just shows the level of desperation that the Israelis are at, because they can't get into these tunnels. They've tried. They have special units of tunnel rats who've gone down there and slaughtered. They tried to rescue a hostage the other day by going into the tunnels with elite forces. Didn't end well for the elite forces. And so rather than continue to bang their head against this wall, they're now saying, well, we're going to pump salt water in, but it isn't going to solve the problem. Hamas's tunnel network has been designed to withstand everything Israel can throw at it.
Could we compare it to maybe, in Afghanistan when dealing in the tunnel systems there and the caves that they were hiding a lot of artillery in that region when the Americans were in there? And, there was a lot of real difficulties trying to penetrate, the Taliban in that area. Are we using kind of like a similar comparison here, or is this a very complex tunnel system something that, like you said, is built to withstand it and can even be fortified in a way that it could be detrimental to any soldiers going in there?
Yeah, I don't think we can compare this to anything that's come before it. These tunnels are unique. They've been around forever. The tunnels have been around since the beginning of Gaza.
So, beginning of Gaza.
This revolutionary new superheater can warm up any room in minutes without giant electricity bills. Tired of wasting?
As always, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get a notification whenever we post new content. And if you appreciate this show, you can also donate below on YouTube. Mateo, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Anya. Pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you on. And of course, the topic is an unfortunate one as we're watching this horrific genocide somehow continue to get worse in Gaza. We're recording this about a month after October 7th. So as of this recording, people in Gaza have been dealing with a carpet bombing campaign against civilians.
Okay, so, you get the picture. Israel is going after these guys because they want the land, they want the oil, they want the gas, right? They're going to kill them all. And they're going to push everyone into the tightest little corner they can get and then nuke them, right? Because they're just going to keep fighting them. So, we can't do it. We can't leave these guys here. We have to get rid of them. Boom, nuclear weapon. And it will also give the guys in Lebanon, they'll nuke them too. And then they'll throw one to, Iran and maybe everybody else, right? Just because they're going to go down, might as well take everybody. They might even detonate a couple in their own land just to kill all those people who were against them, right? Which is basically what we're going to see in our presidential election. Because it doesn't matter who wins. Because look at Biden. I mean, he's just more Plato version of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is more a game show host of Obama, and Obama was just a basketball playing dude, copy of George W., and George W. just a painter killing as many people as he could. I mean, he didn't care. He didn't know. He was reading a kid's book when it was all happening. No one told him anything. He just basically, literally couldn't read trilateral CFR of evil. I mean, those three terrible people. Terrible. Oh, really? Cuba and Iraq is like Adolf Hitler. Not really. I mean, Donald Trump is more like Adolf. Adolf Hitler is more like Donald Trump. The Nuremberg laws that basically put everyone in camps, they got from the United States Jim Crow laws. They just cut and pasted, put it in German. And at certain points, when those guys were when the lawyers would figure out and they were looking at Jim Crow, they said, these guys are just off the hook. We have to be a little more sensitive, have a little higher sensibilities, So that's what we're seeing right now. This is all coming around, right? Because, in all the Bible folk, it's the end of times. Not quite yet. The end of times aren't coming until everyone lets go and forgives themselves and each other. See, the biggest problem with Israel is that they're doing this to punish themselves. That's the most amazing thing about this. And all the people who were in the street this summer getting upset about getting rid of the only guardrail that the executive had in Israel was the Supreme Court. They're getting rid of them. And very similar to what happened to America. They got rid of the lame duck kind of, Supreme Court we had in the United States, and turned it into 6 against 3. So Donnie gets in. He's when he was being interviewed by what's his name, Sean Johnny Boy, you know, Johnny said, "Well, the people are talking that you're going to go after your enemies." He said, "Of course I'm going to go. I'm going to militarize everything." And when I was president the first time, I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, he didn't say it, but this is what it was. He had no idea, and he didn't have a cadre behind him. He had a few pinheads, and now the Koch brothers, the Hobby Lobbyists, all of those folks who got lots of lawyers. They have gotten a bunch of young folk who are sharper than, all went to Princeton and Harvard and Yale, and all want to be fascists, who are fascists. And he's got about 10,000 of them. He's going to go in and just prune all of the people who are the bureaucrats in D.C. who know how to run the government. He's going to stick these guys in. You think things are weird now? Wow. So, he says, I'm going to put up a fence. Well, the fence he's putting up is not going to be on the border. It's going to be 2 miles back. He's going to go the whole length of our border with the South and put a camp there. Put a fence, and whatever little towns are there, the fence will kind of be around that, and they'll make a lot of money servicing the people in the camp, right? And they will turn that whole strip into the Gaza, right? And they're going to put factories in there. And all those people who are just desperate to get away from wherever they are, they will give them the kind of housing that Gaza was, made from packing crates and such, and have factories in there where just like, the most productive workers on the planet is that place of where in Mexico that they make things for cars and stuff, right? They'll work on something and then send it over into America, and then they'll send it back and work a little more on it. There's a name for that, and that's what when they made when the little shrimpy guy said, that sucking sound, that's what you're going to hear when we have. And see, what people don't realize, that little thing turned Canada and the United States and Mexico into one country. And it's not one corporation, not a country. There's still 3 countries, but they're all one corporation, owned by the poster boy, the number 1 poster boy, the Rothschild family. And so, folks are shuffling in. So, that's the. So you want to make a comment about any of the dribble I'm dribbling? Go ahead, and I will. And this is, it's a live chat meant to be, have a back and forth. Right? So that's what I'm looking for. And how about some thumbs up? How about some subscribers? How about some comments? Get be part of the chat over here. Comments over here. Thumbs up. So I'm old enough to know. And so it was interesting last night. A friend of mine wanted me to do something, so I'll get you at 9. So to make sure that I could be right there, I woke up at 7. Right, I normally sleep into 11. So, and I was like waking up at 3. Is it 7 yet? So I didn't really get a good night's sleep. So I was waiting. 10 o'clock came around, called him up, said, "Hey, where are you?" And he said, "Oh, come by at 2." So that's why I'm here. And all of that you see, what happened in Syria, what happened in Lebanon, what happened in Libya, what's happening in the Strip. See, the guys that are up there in Lebanon, they have weapons that can truly reach out and touch Israel. Right? And as Scott Boy says, what Hamas did invading Israel it wasn't a bunch of terrorists. No, it was a highly focused military thing. But they were being sold down the river by all the other Arab guys who were just in it for the Benjamins, right? So they knew they had to do this because Israel was, had this Abrahamic relationship with all the oil guys, and they were gonna, get kumbaya. Once that happened, that's the end of, you know. So, and Bibi is just having ejaculate over getting the strip and everything north of the strip and turning it into and the guys who use that first thing from the puddle to the bigger puddle, that was the Anunnaki. That was the Aryans, the neocons of Israel, who said that back in 1890s, and 1910, and then World War I, and then the Balfour Declaration that was pushed, through the Versailles thing, through Mr. Moneybags, and it's been that way ever since. Well, and it was never like a land without people and a people without land. No, it was like a million and a half Palestinians living there before, for the last, 16,000 years, So, one of the largest groups of Palestinians is Christians. There are more Christians there than anywhere else in the Middle East, and that's who, our tax dollars are killing, All those hospitals that are blowing up, and we did the same thing in, Iraq, and the Russians did the same thing in Syria. It's, everyone has gone off the rails. And you have to have the norms of war. No, you have to have no war. That's what you need to have. That's what this is bringing. Soon as Bibi starts throwing around nukes, so will Wher, right? Because whether we give Ukraine $60 billion worth of weapons or not, the only way Russia can, basically get what it wants militarily is to nuke the place. The beautiful seaport, and they want to get rid of the capital. So they'll nuke both of them. Once Israel nukes everybody in the Mideast, Russia will nuke those two cities and then just blow right through, right? Because everyone will be shocked and radiated and messed up that they won't be able to throw up a good resistance against, and they'll just kill everyone. Anyone in the road, they will do exactly what Israel did. They'll just go in and blow the crap out of the place and put themselves right on the border of all the Baltic states and say, okay, listen, Israel's just taking out the Mideast. There's going to be about just, you thought Syria was bad. These people are coming, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, Hungary. You're no longer going to be those countries. You're going to be Palestinian, just like what happened to Jordan, right? And what Egypt doesn't want to happen to them. So he will, Putin will say, yeah, I'm going to start a new Soviet Union, and you join up. You can still be part of the EU. You can still be part. You can't be part of NATO, but you can still, do business with those guys. You can still be a democracy. I'm a democracy, and that's where we will be this time next year, right? Give or take. And by the time the election occurs, right, basically Donald Trump. See, it doesn't matter whether Biden wins or Donald Trump wins, right? If the hidden hand wants the Democrats to be in power, because they're the bigger worry. All the nasty stuff happens under the Democrats. World War II, World War One, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, everything between Vietnam and Afghanistan, and Georgie and Dick Cheney. George H. used to say about Billy Boy, "Oh, I wish I had a son like this boy. He is just," and that's what he talked about Bill Clinton. Right? So they're all the same. So it doesn't matter who Donald Trump, but if the Hidden Hands wants the TV show to look more like, you know, what's that book? Handmaid's Tale. I mean, that's that lady when she wrote that thing in the Reagan years. She saw the handwriting on the wall, just like in the Bible. I came and I brought in all the soothsayers. What? Oh look, that just I was drinking out of the special cup, and then those things went on. Now, what's it mean? Handwritings on the wall. That's what Paul Simon says. Handwritings on the subway wall. So that's where we're at, kids. It's right in your face. So the best thing you can do is get right with yourself, right? Stop worrying about how your hair looks, or I'm wearing the same clothes I've been wearing for the last month because I have no washer dry. I haven't taken a shower at least a year. It doesn't matter. When we were cavemen, we didn't have showers. Our bodies, if you eat correctly, if you don't, if you're not obese, if you're not eating crap, that's why I have. That's how I lost 270 pounds. I just stopped eating all my crap. I just cut it out. Right? Doesn't mean I can't eat a little of this, a little of that. I can do that. I just don't eat a lot of anything, and I mostly don't eat anything because when you live on $400 a month, I live like a millionaire on $400 a month. I live totally off the grid. I mean, I have a little bit of the grid, but I have everything. I have 3 water sources: my well, and my roof, and I have a spring. My roof is my gray water, runs my toilet and everything other than that. What I drink comes out of that spring. That spring is, and my well is pretty good too, but other people are starting to get on it, and it's sucking the water from the lake. And there's all these houses on the lake, and they're straight piping their poop into the lake because we have no inspections, we have no anything. So the rich people do. They don't live there all the time. They don't drink that water. So, that's not just here. That's everywhere. The drinking water in the United States. Why do you think they, made that little thing about, they're over, something like 60 million lead pipes bringing the water from the main to your house. Mostly, all, rich and old people have lead in their pipes. Right? Rich people, they had that fixed a long time ago, and had their property taxes paid for it. So that's that's the story. Look at what you're breathing. Look at what you're drinking. Look at what you're eating. It's like, forget about it, baby. You are toast. Now, I'm old enough to be toast. I am toast. I've died 7 times. Dying's no big deal to me. I'm here to serve God. I'm not in some jello head religion, but to really be in service of God. Everybody I talk to, I bring forth God to tell them what they need to hear. And I do it with love and compassion and empathy. And I give them a reading, and wow. Right? And they think about it. Right? I have people saying, "Nothing you told me in the supermarket 5 years ago, I'm still thinking about it." That's what I do. Because God told me, when I died in 2014, that'll be 10 years this year coming. I died in, was it January, February? It was still cold. I knew that. So January, February, or March. Might have been March. Because after I, for 3 weeks, I got myself straightened up a little bit. Took care of the rich guy who I was working for. Then he was nice enough to send me back to his place down in the Keys and kept paying, getting colonics and, acupuncture and all the rest. And that's what changed everything in my body. So I didn't need to get my legs cut off. I didn't need to have 20 feet of my colon taken out. I didn't need like people bypass. But my legs were shot. They wanted to cut those off. It took me 7 years to get to where I am. So last night I was thinking about got to get up at 7. Got to get up at 7. I didn't really sleep. So talking to God all night. And my body, it's really getting cold. It's like 13 degrees out there last night. Inside the man cave, it got down to about 38. Right? So I put the little electric heater on. And, so that was, my fact, What time is it? How much juice do I have left? Anyway, well, there's still two of you there. Let's see.
For the last 30 days. I'm sure that this number will be updated once this episode goes up, because the numbers are getting higher each and every hour. But as of now, there's around almost 10,000 have been killed or known to be killed, and then about 4,000 children, more than 4,000 children, which is just a disgusting stain on humanity. But I'm really happy to be having this conversation to you, because I think it's about time we kind of contextualize what we're witnessing taking place on a global scale here when it comes to this genocide playing out in Gaza, Mateo. And the imperialist West, as we know, is backing this onslaught quite enthusiastically. And some people, such as yourself, have put it in the context of the global North living out a kind of genocidal fantasy against the global South through this aggression on Gaza. And I just want to read something that you tweeted. You said, "History is moving. The capitalist West is revealing all its genocidal drive toward the oppressed people of the South, and major powers of the world are watching." So let's start there. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Yeah, thanks, Rania. It's definitely dark times in that we're living. So I would start probably by saying that what is happening in Palestine and even in Ukraine, today, cannot be understood outside of history. Both violence, non-violence, bombs and stones are never thrown outside of historical time. Now, history understood as a practical process, as material facts unfolding on the ground, not abstract categories that Western Marxists pick and choose, determine the dynamics we experience in the present. Basically, we cannot pretend that, as the ruling classes and politicians would like us to believe, that we live in a constant state of emergency, immersed in a present that has no relationship with the past and the future. So, while what happened in Palestine on October 7th must be understood in relation to the war, and when we look at the war, we look at the unit, it is also one of the most important part of this unit, because it unleashed a battle of immense magnitude that is leading to a reconfiguration of the unit as a whole. Now, a battle that is not simply a battle between Palestine and Israel, two states or one state. It is a battle that cumulatively is going to decide the future of humanity, that is testing humanity, is testing us every day, because its future is at stake. And the future of what this unit, and again by unit I mean the war, is going to look like. This premise is so important, because it is on the basis of this epic, historic battle taking place in Palestine right now that the entire world is witnessing an unprecedented campaign of genocidal killing, misinformation, and absolutely disregard of the people of the global South. You see, it certainly takes a lot of ideological propaganda to hide one of the most glaring facts of Western civilization, which is the slaughter of the masses of the global South always has been the prime industry of capitalist and Western civilization since the 14th century. Western values, I mean the weight of ideas that define the social relationship instructing our geopolitical world, drip in blood and dirt. We Westerners love to fill our mouth with words like democracy, peace, international law. We do it and it is normal. But what is not normal is how we pretend that these values are simply the outcome of progress, peace, and benevolence. No, these values literally drip in blood. The genocide of the Americas, Congo, colonization of Africa and Asia, 20th century endless wars led by the US in the Arab region and beyond, Libya, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, decades and decades of international sanction and purposeful undermining of communist movements in Europe as well. All these are facts. They are not hyperbolic statements. These are facts that cumulatively allowed the American project to dominate the world. Now, what's important to understand is that stretching from the turn of the last century to the present, there has been a stimulus for Western imperialist wars in the era of finance capital, which has risen.
Well, that gives you a good hint of everyone has their own agenda. You know, and see, none of this matters. The only thing that matters is love. Love is the only thing that's real. You know, well, you guys have left. I'm just going to do a little guided meditation, but oh, somebody's back. Okay. So let's do a little guided meditation. And this is what you need to do in your communities. You need to get a circle of friends, comrades, get your own cadre, right? And you meet at least once a week, right? And you go to somebody's house and everybody brings a little something to nosh on, put it on the dining room table. Everyone sits on the floor of the living room, which is a fireplace. That's even nicer. It's good to have a fire. Turn all the electric, all the lights off, all that stuff. Turn your heat off because it's already warm. It's not going to get that much colder. If you have a fireplace, don't worry about it. But just turn every kind of thing that would hum or buzz or click off. Turn all your phones off. Put them in a basket and put it in the bathroom, right? And turn all the ringers off. And then sit in a circle and do this. As deep as you can. Once you kind of get to a place where your diaphragm is relaxed and you can really breathe deep, you take that big breath in. You go, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. Conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. And before you do that, you pick one person to be the facilitator, right? That goes, it's okay. And from that person to the left, that person says, hi, I'm Bob. You don't know me. And you get about 2 minutes to say who and what you are, how you're feeling that day, and what you might want to talk about. And maybe I'd like, when we go around a second time, maybe I'd like 3 to 10 minutes to bring up a subject, right? Okay, next. All the way around, people will ask for time. Then you have the vibe watcher, right? The person who's, the facilitator facilitates it, vibe watcher watches out to make sure that everyone feels safe. When it comes time in the circle for the vibe watcher, so, hi, I'm Susie, and I'm the vibe watcher. And what I'm doing here is to make sure that everyone feels safe. That's the first thing, because we can't really talk honestly until we all feel safe, right? So you do that 3 or 4 times, and you come up with a bunch of topics you want to talk about, and you talk about it, and you go around no more than 3 to 5 times, right? After that, you say, okay, next meeting, we've now discussed a bunch of things. Let us pick 3 of the things that we've just talked about, and let's think about it until next time next week, and let's talk about that, right? And that's how you talk about subject matter without anyone getting flustered, because everyone feels safe. And I've used this process for a good 50 years, and I didn't invent it, I, first learned it from Madam Olga Kluver, Billy Kluver's cousin. And Billy Cooper was the guy who brought modern art to America. He started the Museum of Modern Art. He did this big European art show in the 20s in the Armory, right? That was left over from the Civil War, like on 50-something Street. Wherever the Museum of Modern Art is today, that's where that show was, in the Armory, right? And it was such a success. You know, all the rich people, everybody, wow. And so a number of galleries grew up along that street and became very wealthy. Art was starting to be sold and making money, and the art scene happened in America, right? So I was Billy. And the thing that he really was he gaga for technology. So he was part of a rad lab in the 20s and during World War II. You know? So he was Mr. Microwave and all of that and radar. But then after that, you know, they were, you know, went to Bell Labs and to Univac and a few other people just doing research and, you know, doing it at Brookings and at Yale. And at Yale, I think it was at Yale, he went out into some potato field far away from any other kind of device and stuck a radar dish up into the sky, not shooting out a signal, but just listening. And they discovered the background radiation of the universe, right? He got a little Nobel Prize for that. So this guy was, and he ran a thing at the CF, Council for Foreign Relations, CFR, and he ran a thing called Automation House. And all this, you go Google all this stuff. And so I used to walk my dog by that place, you know, because we lived on 69th Street in the park. And I would walk my boy Dandy down to the park, and we'd run around, right? And he'd run after the ball. He was very good. He would poop, not like out in the open. He would find a place behind a bush. You know, everyone loved Dandy. You know, he was Jim Dandy. He was a gentleman. Anyway, so we'd walk by Automation House every day, and there's this big window. And one of these windows had a curve, so when you look at it, you look at the window in there, and you go like this, and you fall in. And there is a window there, but you can't see it. And all these flashing lights and gizmos, so it's like, oh, let me get in there. And one day, the dog and I are like, and I hear this guy behind me goes, you want to go in? And I go, yeah, but you can't because it's just, well, it doesn't look like it. Look like you just slip right on it. You can't. It's a curved thing. So he goes, go ahead. He said, no, I've already done it. I've fallen on my face twice. No, go ahead. Try it now. And I do, and it was gone. And I walked in there, and that was it. And Billy was my mentor, one of my godfathers. So, I mean, he's the guy who got me into the CFR. You know, first I played with him for a number of years in his lab there, and he got me into the young scientists at Univac, and the rest is history. So, you know, this is the path I've taken. I could have been a zillionaire a number of times. You know, I bought Microsoft, I bought Dell, I bought Apple, all when they were like 10, 20 bucks. You know, when they first came out on the, I bought them at the lowest price you could buy them on the New York Stock Exchange. Right? I was living down there. Right? So I bought it. Right? I think I bought Apple when it was $12. You know, I could have bought it at $7, but I bought it at 12. I got all the way up to $300. And I thought, wow, I'm selling. I did. So I like bought $1,000 worth at $12, and I sold it at $300. Right? I thought that's pretty good. Didn't realize it was going to go. But that's okay because it kind of took a crash. And I said, boy, I'm smart, aren't I? Now I should have bought some more after that. But see, I basically lived my life rather than trying to be Scrooge McDuck, right? And I was running all kinds of nonprofit organizations, and when I didn't have money, I'd pay for stuff, right? Sometimes I took it off my taxes, but not really. I just did this stuff. And that's what having a life is all about, doing things for other people. So that's where we're at a place. We're either going to learn that that's what life's about. Not blowing up people, not killing loads of people, not, here's, the Jews. See, the problem is the people who are doing this, the IDF is not the Jewish people. It's the neocon mentality. And because the Jewish people are righteous folk. I mean, I went to, a Lubavitcher. I studied to be a rabbi. I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. They accepted me, all the girls kind of, hey, big boy, how you doing? So, and my rabbi wanted me to spill the seed to like lubricate the Hasidim gene pool, right? And he was fixing me up all the time. He was like, when I was a young boy, yada 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 yada. La 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 la. So I had so many Jewish girlfriends, right? And all their moms and dads just loved me, especially if you're going to Ratner's Lubavitcher, because that was a high end. That was like, see, the rabbi means teacher, right? But inside the temple, you have priests. I was being tuned to be a priest because I was studying, the esoteria of the Torah, and so the Jewish people are righteous folk, the Hebrew nation, right? Not the Zionist nation, right? That's straight up, the chosen few, and for a good reason, right? So it's sad because the Hebrews of Israel are being taken for a ride, and the people who were the poor Palestinians, they're being, because they are the same folk, they are from the same gene pool. Adam Sandler did a interesting movie about this, right? I forget what it. And he was like the 007 of Mossad, and he got tired of doing all that. But he was like, oh wow, he was the dude, and he came back to, he left Israel and came to New York, and he bumped into his arch enemy, this Arab guy, and they instead of killing themselves like the Jets and the Sharks, it's all about bowling, So it's that's exactly where we are right now. So no one wants to comment. How much juice do I have? Oh, about 5 more minutes. What time is it? Time. Yeah. Okay. So, I can't say anymore, but happy everything. I don't know if I'll see you before Christmas. I probably will. But I can't get around. I don't have real access to the internet. I have less access to the internet than I normally do. So.